So let's get into the show. 4 main benefits of business trust. 4 main benefits. And some people are like, oh, I got a 9(8) number. I got a foreign trust, so I don't gotta pay taxes. I've heard that a lot. Most people, they listen to people who don't know exactly what they're talking about. They listen to people who just read something, or they're repeating what someone else said that sounded cool. They could have been listening to someone who just downright is an idiot, just straight up, just stupid, and won't acknowledge it, won't admit it, because their ego is too wrapped into how they perceive themselves and how other people perceive them. And these types of people, these types of gurus, if you ever have an issue or you have a question that they can't answer, they get mad at you. They get upset with you. They get mad at you for asking a question. They take your money. You ask a question, they get mad at you. Talk about how you're not doing this or you're not doing that, or you should have did this, or how busy they are, and things of that nature. I've come to the conclusion that they're either stupid or just plain shady, shiesty. I don't know, though. But 4 main benefits of business trust. What is business trust? Why is business trust so important? Why do people care? What is the big deal? So before we get into the 4 main benefits, let's just talk about that. What is the big deal? The big deal is state taxes. State taxes. Right? If you have a state-created entity, such as a corporation or an S corporation or something of that nature, it's a state-created entity, so the state can tax it. So the state taxes on your LLC or corporation, and there's federal taxes on the LLC or corporation, right? Well, a business trust doesn't account for state taxes because it is not a state entity. That's one thing, first of all. Plain and simple. Not out here trying to run circles around people. It doesn't matter with regards to, do I feel like I'm intelligent, and am I trying to pontificate as some sort of intelligent person? Through the proper administration of a business trust, a contract, non-grantor, unincorporated business organization, if you want to get specific, they're not subject to any type of legislative restrictions as our corporations and partnerships. And, there's a federal tax form, 1041, but there's no state tax form as long as the entity is administered properly. And before I even go any further, let me say this. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a lawyer. I don't give legal advice, tax advice, trading advice, relationship advice. I don't give advice, fam. If you're looking for advice or legal advice or determinations, or, you gotta holler at a lawyer or attorney. I'm just going to tell you they were educated by the state. They know state statutory law and stuff like that. They're going to burn you up. They're going to frustrate you. Or they're going to have you think of something that may be technically true, because within the venue, within the legislative venue, what they're saying could be technically correct, but there are other venues that are without the legislative venue. But whatever, I don't give legal advice, tax advice. I don't do none of that stuff. Just right now, this is information, educational purposes. What was the other one? Entertainment, whatever. However you look at it. But that's the big thing. People, especially like high net worth business owners, chiropractors. What else we got? Maybe doctors, surgeons, stuff like that. There'd be a practice or a partnership, or maybe an LLC or something. And these guys are paying heavy prices at the state, heavy prices of taxes at the state level. Crazy taxes. And there are certain things afforded at the federal level. So bottom line, number one, what's the deal with the business trust? Why does everybody care? Because legally, there's the ability and the potential to legally avoid taxes. Most people want to keep more than what they make. Cool. So that's the big deal. Big deal. That's number one. Number one right there. Number two, because a business trust is not governed by the state or the Internal Revenue Service, the contract itself determines what is an expense or what is a write-off, an allowable deduction on the taxes. Because, you know, the name of the game is to expense as much as possible to lower the taxable income. The business trust can expense things that limited liability companies cannot expense. S corporations cannot expense. Corporations cannot expense. Partnerships cannot expense. Sole proprietorships cannot expense. Why? Because these structures have specific limitations for expenses due to the respective Internal Revenue Service publications. So specifically, corporate expenses that are allowable in the Internal Revenue Code, you'll find that in publication 535. Well, with the business trust, the contract says what are and aren't ordinary and necessary expenses. The contract says it, not the Internal Revenue Code manual, not any statute from any state. The contract says it. So if the contract says it, the contract makes the law. So business trusts are able to expense things, to write off things, purchases, transactions that S corporations, limited liability companies, corporations, partnerships, sole proprietorships, general partnerships, that they can't. They can't. That's a benefit right there. And the third benefit, business trust can disperse 100% of its taxable income to a beneficiary and therefore owe no tax. The only similar entity that can do that is a corporation or an LLC that's set up as a C corp. You know, they disperse, like Amazon disperses all of its taxable income to its shareholders. The company doesn't pay taxes. It puts it after expenses and write-offs and stuff like that. Anything that's left over, it distributes to its shareholders, and the shareholders must claim that shareholder income on their tax return. Very similar to what a trust can do. Also, a business trust can donate 100% of its taxable liability to a charity and therefore have no tax. There's really no other structure like the LLC, like a C Corp or something. They can do write-offs and then they can pass taxable, pay the salary, pay the bonuses, invest in research and development, so on and so forth. Whatever's left over, they can pass it to the investors, the shareholders of Amazon. We're using the same example. But when it comes to write-offs, when it comes to what can be expensed, that's going to be controlled by the Internal Revenue Code. It's going to be controlled by the IRS. Whereas a business trust, what can be written off, what can be expensed, is not controlled by the IRS. It's controlled by the contract. So these are the 3 points, the 3 main reasons as to why everybody's so gung-ho about business trusts. All right? If you didn't get that, download this or whatever you got to do and rewind it and just listen to it a bunch of times until you understand what I'm talking about. Because that's all it is you just need to become acclimated to the information. You need to come into contact with it more and become more familiar with this information. But if you're following me, then that's cool. We're following me. Now, let me get to the 4 main benefits of business trust. But first, as I segue into that, let me say this. The IRS, you can type in business structures, IRS, in a Google search engine, wherever search. They got DuckDuckGo, Bing, Break. There's all types of search engines these days. But you can type in business structures, IRS. And it says here, when Beginning a business, you must decide what form of business entity to establish. Your form of business determines which income tax return form you have to file. Check this out. This language is so cold. You got to pay attention to how these fools word things. The most common form of businesses are the sole proprietorship, partnership, corporation, and S corporation. A limited liability company is a business structure allowed by state statute. Legal and tax consideration enter in selecting a business structure. And it goes on to say sole proprietorships, partnerships, corporations, S corporations, limited liabilities. And then it says, here, refer to Small Business Administration's Choose a Business Structure webpage, and they give you a link to go outside of the IRS website. Why do I bring this up? Because they said the most common forms of business. They're not going to tell you about a business trust. The IRS is not going to come out and say, hey, this is how you don't pay taxes legally. It's not going to happen. The most common form. They didn't say the only forms. The only form of business. They said the most common forms and listed the forms of business that most people are familiar with exclusively. They know no other forms of business outside the most common form of business. Hopefully you understand the distinction I'm attempting to make here. So let's go. Let's go. Every person or group of persons planning to enter into business must make the basic decision at the outset of the form of the business. The decision will determine such things as benefits to be enjoyed, the risks to be assumed, the problems to be avoided, and much more, including the treatment of your business for estate purposes. The decision concerns the form of business organization. It should not be made quickly or taken lightly. The first form, by far the most numerous, is the sole proprietorship. Second form, most common and most widely recognized, is the C corporation. The third form of business is the partnership. But the fourth form of business that is also widely used but is not well known among business professionals is what is known as the 1041 Contract Business Trust, unincorporated business organization, the Massachusetts Trust, so on and so forth. As a form of biggest business organization, it's not unusual for the average business professional, along with his attorney, his accountant, and or his consultant, business trusts are simply unknown. It is helpful to divide all trusts into two very distinct classes. One, those which are birthed from inalienable rights, and two, those are created by privilege of the state. The business trust is a powerful entity by which individuals may combine their resources to operate a business for profit. The business trust is created when one or more individuals convey, transfer, or exchange legal title to assets to the trustees. The trustees have vested power to manage and control all assets to which title was conveyed, transferred, exchanged, to pay for the profits and the prize to the persons who hold the beneficial interest in the trust. And now, the property transferred into the trust, it could be a logo, y'all. Straight up, let's be honest. Let's get creative here. It could be a logo. It could be some intellectual property. It could be some what do they call it? Industry secrets or trade secrets on how to do something. It could be a book. It could be intellectual property rights. It doesn't have to be something physical. It doesn't have to be Federal Reserve notes. I would suggest that it's not Federal Reserve notes, especially when you're talking about the inception of your private contractual trust. Why would the initial funding of a private trust be with public paper? Think about it. So let me get into this. Where we at with the 4, man? 4. In general terms, A business trust will provide benefits and flexibility not available with other forms of business organization. As a result, it is very widely used but often unknown. The state of Ohio wrote an entire chapter of their state code to recognize the legitimacy of business trusts. I hope y'all paying attention, taking notes, or recording this or something. And that's the Ohio Code, subsection 1746. The state of Delaware updated its statutes regarding trusts when the Delaware General Assembly passed Senate Bill number 355, adding a new chapter to Part 5, Title 12 of the Delaware Code, entitled Chapter 38, Treatment of Delaware Business Trusts. According to the bill's sponsor, the banking community within the state of Delaware was a major supporter of the legislation. The proper design and use of a business trust will provide at least 4 important and specific benefits. Number 1, organization. A business trust will provide an effective and efficient form of business organization, very similar to a corporation, but without the above mentioned corporate attributes, and far better than either a sole proprietorships, partnerships, and better than most small corporations, especially closely held ones. Number 2, liability protection. The proper design and use of a business trust should provide the highest degree of professional liability protection. It is a fact established at law that the beneficiary of an ordinary trust is not personally liable to the persons for torts committed by the trustee. With a business trust, potential liability claims are limited to the assets of the trust itself. This protection can be enhanced by separating high-risk assets, equipment, or processes into separate trusts, and then leasing the assets back from the trust. Furthermore, the assets of a business trust are exempt in the absence of fraudulent conveyance within 1 year prior to bankruptcy from the claims and actions of all personal creditors. Sounds like a crazy benefit to me. Number 3, tax management. A properly designed and operated business trust can provide the ability to control, manage, and perhaps limit both estate tax and current tax liabilities. This is what everyone wants right here. This means that a trust beneficiary or the holder of capital unit receives passive income as a K-1 distribution rather than as W-2 wages will realize a tax savings of over 13%, sometimes over 20% when dealing with the corporate rate. Since many business operators pay out more in personal Social Security tax than in personal withholding, this can constitute a significant savings. Furthermore, a properly designed and operated complex business trust is not subject to the corporate tax on dividends. According to the Internal Revenue Code, a trust that distributes all of its income each year to its beneficiaries is allowed to treat such distributions as a deduction to the trust, resulting in no taxable income to the trust. The beneficiaries will be required to declare the income as a taxable income on their own personal returns. If the income of a complex trust is not distributed, then the trust is required to pay the taxes. This provides a significant advantage over a corporate structure. Simple, contractual business trusts are required to pass all income to the beneficiaries every year. And number 4, estate planning. A business trust will provide important estate considerations. Because the business and its assets are owned in fee simple absolute, meaning both legal and equitable title together by the fiduciary trustee. There is no probate, no transfer of ownership, no disclosure of assets. Privacy is maintained, and no estate taxes. None. Zero. The business itself may continue uninterrupted with a successor, operator, manager, agent appointed by the trustee, including a surviving spouse, child, or a hired employee. The beneficial or capital units of the trust are regarded as intangible personal property and can be transferable for estate planning purposes. Should a decision be made to liquidate or sell the business, all proceeds will be payable to the capital unit holders, because the business and its assets can form a large part of an estate and therefore a significant contributor to eventual estate taxes. The value of a business trust in both business and estate planning quickly becomes obvious. So, what we got? Number one, organization. Very similar to a corporation, but without the corporate attributes, far better than sole proprietorships and partnerships, and an effective, efficient form of organization. Number two, liability protection. Much robust and comprehensive liability protection than a limited liability company, than any other corporate structure. Number three, tax management. A properly designed and operated business trust can provide the ability to control, manage, and perhaps completely limit both estate and current tax liabilities. And number four, estate planning. Four main benefits of a business trust. Who can use contract business trusts? Sole proprietors, accountants, and CPAs, doctors, tax preparers, chiropractors, attorneys, daycare operators, franchise operators, churches, business owners, property managers, apartment buildings, service providers, artists and writers, restaurant owners, sports and gun dealers, rental property, bus drivers, self-employed business persons, towing operations, roofers, plumbers, electricians, masons, carpenters, general contractors, independent contractors, manufacturers, dentists, pest control companies, opticians, insurance brokers, motel owners, ministers, multi-level salespeople, multi-level marketing, airline pilots, real estate agencies or agents, shop owners, professional services, property owners, health practitioners, recreational businesses, taxi cab drivers, veterinarians, auto mechanics, lien companies, and more. One of the objectives of business trusts is to obtain for the associates most of the advantages of corporations without the authority of any legislative act and with the freedom from the restrictions and regulations generally imposed by law on corporations. And this is, unequivocally why you're not going to find really this information in the public. You're going to have to go into privately contract with someone in order to really get your hands on this information. Because the freedoms free from the limitations and restrictions placed upon corporate structures, sole proprietorships, LLCs, C Corps, S Corps. It sounds like it's too good to be true, so I know people who went to jail, so do I. But they was doing something they wasn't supposed to be doing. They was mixing public and private. They were mixing, co-mingling certain information, processes. And generally weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing properly. Trying to do stuff to get it done, not to do a thing to get it done correctly. And I think, that bottom line, that's what it's about overall, ultimately. To get something done, but get it done correctly. And as far as I'm concerned, that's the name of the game. So there you go. There's the four main benefits of business trust, broken down succinctly. And if you understand, most people are looking for that tax benefit, number 3, right? But don't miss out or count out any of the other benefits, the estate tax benefits, avoiding death tax, inheritance tax, generation skipping tax, keeping, a business. You can start a business in the form of a business trust. The only major setback, in my opinion, is that it's inherently difficult to build business credit on a business trust. LLCs, corporations, it's easy. Partnerships, it's easy. Business trust, they know what it is. Once they scan that document and they send it to legal, they know exactly what type of structure that is and the powers of limited liability, that they can only attach a judgment to the trust and not to the trustees. And they know that these business trusts, they're pass-throughs. They're pass-throughs. The trust doesn't really own anything. If you're doing it right, your business trust doesn't own anything. If the business has, let's say, for example, logistics. You got a trucking company, right? Well, the trucking company itself can be a business trust. You have another business trust that actually owns the trucks. The trucking company contracts with the business trust that owns the trucks. So the trucking company itself, it has no assets. It doesn't own the trucks. And all of its profits are going to be administered according to the contract indenture. You can't impair the obligation of a contract. They know that. Legal knows that. The legal, they know that. They know it. So why they're not going to give the business trust credit? Why? Because there's no remedial action that can be taken against the business trust if it defaults on its credit. And they can't attach against the benefit. They can't go after the beneficiaries. They can't go after the trustees. They can only go after the trust. So when you understand that, it makes sense. So it's like, okay, well, we'll start the LLC, right? And we'll build the business credit on the LLC, right? But the business assets, I'm talking down to the logo, to the intellectual property, to the domain name, address for the website, any type of internal procedures, all that stuff is going to be owned by business trust, and the LLC is just going to lease or rent all of that stuff. It's not going to own anything, but it's a limited liability. So they may come after the members, depending on how it's administered, because there's limited liability. But if the member is a business trust, they're right back where they started. Right back where they started. And this is the power. If you can't completely pick up what I'm putting down, please re-listen to this show 3 or 4 times so you can put it into perspective. Because this stuff, once you understand this stuff, you get out of La La Land, you get out of Alice in Wonderland, land, and you really, really narrow in, focus in, drill down, laser focus, whatever phraseology you want to use, and you begin to understand this stuff, it'll change your life. Man, there's other podcasts that talk about sports, other podcasts talk about discharge and sovereignty, and there's other podcasts that talk about nationality. There's other people talking about credit cards and points and how to refurnish your deck, or how to build a garden. Look, there are many different places you can go to get any other type of information. But as far as I'm concerned, I've made it my life purpose, my life's work right here, to teach this information so y'all can understand the basics of it. At the base of it, the reason why they got so much control over us because we have such an attachment to that all capital name, because we have nothing else to title vehicles. We have nothing else, no other name to title our vehicles, our property, our real estate. Well, you're going to do it in the LLC? It's a state structure. You're going to put it in your all capital name? It's a state structure. You want to pass that on to your heirs? Well, it's going to be governed by state statute because these are state structures that hold title to all this supposed property that you have. There's going to be a problem. But if it's a trust that never dies and they have no control over it, for state purposes, it's a very powerful entity. For tax mitigation, it's a very powerful entity. So, you know, at least look into it. Email the secretary at welcometothefoundation.com if you would like a copy of the document that I was reading from. It's a document. I'm going to get y'all. Y'all finna read. Y'all finna read. Real quick, we got a minute left in the broadcast. If you are checking out the show online, you definitely want to call in. Call in number 399-3625. If you don't make it, you will be disconnected. If you want to listen to the rest of the episode, you will have to check out the archives. So real quick, 563-999-3625. Otherwise, blah blah. So I trust y'all was able to, you know, wrap your mind around, you know, the overall benefits of business trust. You also want to point out that, you know, get your hands on this document. This is a great document to read, you know, especially these documents on trust. You know, private trust, you want to read them multiple times. These things you can't just read one time and think it's all good. That's not how it works. So, I don't know. If you would like information, you want some assistance, you need maybe some more explanation, more of a one-on-one setting for you to get, you know, your mind wrapped around the subject matter, the concepts that we're discussing here. You know, book a consultation. Shoot me an email, admin@welcometothefoundation.com. And, you know, let's get on the line and, you know, one-on-one, let's discuss, you know, what is your comprehension? What do you know? Where are you coming from? What's your background? What are you doing right now? What do you want to do in the future? And, let's talk about how you can get there. It's one of the things that I really enjoy doing is, you know, helping people get to where I am, because, you know, it's really exciting when you get certain achievements. But a lot of times you can only feel that excitement like one time, you know, and after that it kind of wears off. You can only really access that level of excitement by helping someone else get to that level of excitement and experiencing it with them. And that's what I like to do with y'all, you know. I like to be the one that y'all call, like, yo, so I got my business trust checking account open today. You know, I love stuff like that. Oh, you know, I just left the motor vehicle. I got the truck titled in the name of the trust today. It's crazy. I never knew this stuff existed, and I'm doing it. Thanks, so that's one of the biggest rewards that I can ever experience. Someone sharing their excitement, their pride, and their accomplishment with me. I really appreciate those moments. And I would appreciate the moment were it to happen with you. So if you've been waiting, if you're on the fence, you know, jump off the fence, man. You get attacked from both sides when you're on the fence. Jump off the fence. Come over here to private. Email me. admin@welcometothefoundation.com. Let's get it cracking. Let's do this. Make sure you check out welcometothefoundation.com. At the very least, you're on the email list. You know, you got exclusive stuff. This stuff that, you know, it's only goes on once a year. That's happening right now here at the foundation. We got new stuff coming in. We launched merchandise. Foundation merchandise, different giveaways and events always are going to be announced on the email list. Anyone who's on the email list, you're like special to me, so y'all get exclusives. You get straight exclusives. Otherwise, you know, you got the PDF section, you got the education section. But, you know, go park. Go park at Welcome to the Foundation. Make some coffee or some tea. Grab a notebook. You know what I'm saying? In your robe and your slippers. Real comfy like, sit down. And go park yourself at welcometothefoundation.com for like an hour. If you haven't already. But, you know, with that being said, I will not be taking callers today. I apologize for those who had their hand up. Some of y'all, there was a couple callers. As soon as they connected, they had their hand up. I apologize. I love y'all. Y'all my peoples. Y'all my fam. But I'm out. I'm out of here. I got to mosey move around. But I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. You know, I do these shows for you. You know, hopefully these are inspiring. These are motivational. I want to provide an avenue for conversation and dialogue with regards to subject matter that is very, very, very obscure. 1%. Make it normal. Let it be normal. And, you know, ultimately I want to do business with my people. You know, I got to the point where I was tired of doing business with people who didn't look like me. You know, I want our dollars to circulate in our communities more. In order to do that, we have to have businesses that we can frequent with each other. In order to have businesses, we must have knowledge, not only to create these businesses properly, but how to properly run these businesses, scale these businesses, and protect what we make from these businesses. I've seen many people work their butt off for 4 or 5 years on what they love, but they were not structured properly, got beat up, got disenchanted, lost the passion, and let it go. So, you know, you got to get ducks in a row, and that's what we're looking to do here at the foundation, help you get all your ducks in a row. So make sure you email us if you're looking to get your hands on this document, secretary at welcometothefoundation.com. Shoot me an email, admin at welcometothefoundation.com if you're interested in a consultation, you want to inquire with regards to trustee training, or you just got a basic question. You know, you want to do a consultation, you know, let's do it. Let's definitely do it. But in the meantime, you know, just invest in your private education. Believe in yourself. And do yourself a favor to not only take care of yourself, take care of those around you, but, you know, invest in your education, your private education. Invest in your health. Invest in your happiness. These things are important, you know. We got to be well-rounded. We have to be holistic. We have to be 360. But we must understand what we're doing and why we're doing it. And that's why I wanted to get with these 4 main benefits of business trust. So I trust that you were able to learn something, that you walk away from this episode of The Foundation with a little bit more than you came with on a positive side. And, you know, if you so choose to, I look forward to assisting you in the future with your private transition and the setting up of your private estate. I would be honored if you would trust me in assisting you and your family to do that. But with that being said, like I say, I trust y'all had a great week, and I trust you will enjoy the rest of your week. Happy holidays. For those who celebrate, be safe in your travels. Take care of your people. If you find yourself getting annoyed with your family members or something like that, just remember it comes once a year, and soon they will be gone. So enjoy it while you can, and make the most of it. Y'all have a great week. Take care of yourself. Enjoy yourself. Make sure you say 10 things that you're thankful for before you go to sleep tonight and every night, as it is very important. And I will catch you next week on the same network, the hottest radio network on the planet. That's High Frequency Radio Network. I am your host, Sot L, here with the foundation. That is Seeker of Truth L, Speaker of Truth L, and it has been a pleasure to invest this time with you. And I look forward to investing with you again next week. So y'all have a great week. Enjoy yourself. Take care of yourself. Make sure you say 10 things that you're thankful for before you go to sleep tonight and every night. It's that power of attraction. And I'll catch y'all next week. All right, y'all. Enjoy yourselves. Peace to the guys.
High Frequency Radio.